Money turns choices into trade-offs. In how money changes everyday decisions, someone may notice that a person deciding between eating out and saving for rent is ranking needs. Money is limited and every payment closes another option. Ordinary spending becomes a map of priorities. Seeing the cause early gives people more room to respond well in how money changes everyday decisions. If this is ignored, ordinary spending becomes a map of priorities can look sudden even when the setup was already present. Prices make consequences visible. Watch what happens when a higher electricity bill makes a family notice air conditioner use. The number on the bill connects behavior to cost. Money gives feedback that feelings alone may miss. In how money changes everyday decisions, the visible event can distract from the driver that needs attention. Without that check, a higher electricity bill makes a family notice air conditioner use can be misunderstood or handled too late. Cash and cards feel different. How money changes everyday decisions becomes concrete when someone may spend more easily by tapping a card than handing over notes. Payment pain is lower when money feels abstract. The form of money changes self-control. When how money changes everyday decisions appears in real life, this is the detail to check first. This is why payment pain is lower when money feels abstract deserves attention before the situation hardens into a pattern. Budgets shape attention. For example, a student with a weekly food budget checks prices more carefully. Limits force comparison before purchase. Awareness rises when money has a clear boundary. In how money changes everyday decisions, this is the point where the visible choice and the real pressure start to meet. That makes the example useful because it shows awareness rises when money has a clear boundary in a form someone could recognize. Income timing affects choices. In real life, a worker paid monthly may feel rich after payday and tight before month end. Cash flow changes the feeling of affordability. Timing can matter as much as total income. That is why how money changes everyday decisions should be read through facts rather than a quick assumption. If this is ignored, timing can matter as much as total income can look sudden even when the setup was already present. Debt changes the future. Think about how buying now with borrowed money moves tomorrow a euro's income into today. Interest and repayments claim future choices. The purchase is not finished when the item comes home. For how money changes everyday decisions, the important move is to notice the chain from first signal to final effect. Without that check, buying now with borrowed money moves tomorrow a euro's income into today can be misunderstood or handled too late. Savings create options. A simple how money changes everyday decisions case is this. A small emergency fund can turn a car repair from crisis into inconvenience. Stored money buys time and choice. Financial security often feels like emotional breathing room. That sequence explains why how money changes everyday decisions can grow even when the first moment looks small. This is why stored money buys time and choice deserves attention before the situation hardens into a pattern. Discounts change urgency. How money changes everyday decisions appears when a limited sale makes a buyer act faster than planned. The fear of missing out becomes part of the decision. A lower price can still lead to unnecessary spending. The early sign matters in how money changes everyday decisions because it can change cost, trust, timing, or emotional meaning. That makes the example useful because it shows a lower price can still lead to unnecessary spending in a form someone could recognize. Status spending changes decisions. One ordinary how money changes everyday decisions version is that someone buys a phone mainly because peers will notice it. Money can purchase signals as well as products. The social meaning may overpower practical usefulness. The pattern in how money changes everyday decisions is easier to handle when the first signal is noticed instead of dismissed. If this is ignored, the social meaning may overpower practical usefulness can look sudden even when the setup was already present. Families negotiate money through values. Consider the moment when one person wants a vacation while another wants debt reduction. Money decisions reveal security needs, pleasure needs, and control needs. Arguments about spending are often arguments about priorities. The answer in how money changes everyday decisions is usually found in the cause, not in the label people attach afterward. Without that check, one person wants a vacation while another wants debt reduction can be misunderstood or handled too late. Businesses respond to money signals. How money changes everyday decisions becomes clearer when a cafe copyright extends hours when evening sales cover extra wages. Revenue tells owners which choices are sustainable. Money turns customer behavior into business strategy. Once the cause is named in how money changes everyday decisions, the response can fit the situation more closely. This is why revenue tells owners which choices are sustainable deserves attention before the situation hardens into a pattern. Children learn choices through money. In how money changes everyday decisions, notice when a child with allowance discovers that one toy may mean no snacks later. Limited funds make trade-offs concrete. Early money lessons become habits around waiting and choosing. The link between those pieces is what makes how money changes everyday decisions useful in real life. That makes the example useful because it shows early money lessons become habits around waiting and choosing in a form someone could recognize. Inflation changes daily decisions. A familiar how money changes everyday decisions example is when groceries rising in price may make a family switch brands or stores. The same budget buys fewer familiar items. Money changes behavior when its purchasing power changes. People often feel pressure around how money changes everyday decisions before they can explain where it came from. If this is ignored, money changes behavior when its purchasing power changes can look sudden even when the setup was already present. Automatic payments can hide spending. In how money changes everyday decisions, the real-world version may be that subscriptions continue quietly after interest fades. Convenience reduces review. Money leaves without the decision feeling active. This is the detail that changes what to check next in how money changes everyday decisions. Without that check, subscriptions continue quietly after interest fades can be misunderstood or handled too late. Windfalls can distort judgment. It shows up in small moments, such as when a bonus may feel like free money even though it has many possible uses. Unexpected income lowers caution for some people. Planning before spending protects the value of the windfall. Noticing that driver early can keep how money changes everyday decisions from becoming harder to manage. This is why unexpected income lowers caution for some people deserves attention before the situation hardens into a pattern. Scarcity creates mental load. Look at a case where a person short on cash may focus on immediate bills and miss a cheaper long-term option. Money stress consumes attention. Bad choices can come from pressure rather than ignorance. The headline alone does not show the whole chain behind how money changes everyday decisions. That makes the example useful because it shows bad choices can come from pressure rather than ignorance in a form someone could recognize. Money can protect boundaries. A concrete version is when someone with savings can leave a bad job sooner. Financial options reduce dependence. Money changes what people feel able to say no to. The background force should guide the next decision in how money changes everyday decisions more than the first reaction. If this is ignored, money changes what people feel able to say no to can look sudden even when the setup was already present. Money also affects generosity. In a normal day, a person may help family gladly when secure and resentfully when stretched. Capacity changes the emotional meaning of giving. Healthy generosity needs honest limits. In how money changes everyday decisions, the clearer reading follows the cause instead of stopping at the visible result. Without that check, a person may help family gladly when secure and resentfully when stretched can be misunderstood or handled too late. Tracking money reveals patterns. Picture the situation where 3 months of statements may show that small purchases are the real leak. Memory underestimates repeated spending. Records turn vague guilt into specific adjustment. The moment becomes easier to handle when the moving part is named clearly in how money changes everyday decisions. This is why memory underestimates repeated spending deserves attention before the situation hardens into a pattern. How money changes everyday decisions needs to be understood through a specific real-life case. The clearest version is when money changes everyday decisions because it converts desire into limited choices. It affects timing, stress, status, family conflict, and future freedom. Using money well starts with seeing what each payment makes possible and what it quietly removes. That mechanism explains why the topic affects real choices in how money changes everyday decisions. That makes the example useful because it shows using money well starts with seeing what each payment makes possible and what it quietly removes in a form someone could recognize.